so glad when he was absent.
Thank you. I'll tell you a true story about the Sikh program. This actually happened. I was in oral interpretation class. I was in oral interpretation class, and that's when I was starting to do comedy in school. Take a shot right there, because it's almost like being a teacher at a driving school. You know, you have that kind of a captive audience. So I was doing my thing. And I was writing too, and we had a teacher, Sheila Trillin. That was her name. I'll never forget it in my whole life. And Sheila Trillin read some of my stuff, and she said, "Man, you're just not funny. You know, let it go. Go home." And she says, "My husband is a great writer, and you should read his stuff." And his name was Calvin Trillin, and he wrote for the New Yorker, I believe. And she gave me like 20 of his articles. And she said, "You should get out of writing and comedy now." Now, smash cut to like 5 years later. I'm working at the Improv on 44th and 9th and doing a show, and had a monster set. Just, the bricks coming out of the wall. It's unbelievable. It's very good. And Sheila Trillin is there. And she says, "I'm sorry, man."
Wow.
And that to me was a highlight. She said, you fooled me. You're much better than I thought. Yes, ma'am, in the back there. You, yeah. All right. No. I cannot draw a straight line with a ruler. I am the worst artist in the world. All of our paintings were done by a guy named Ernie Barnes. And Ernie Barnes, one of the most talented portrait guys around. He did the Marvin Gaye album with the pool thing when Marvin Gaye was that was Ernie Barnes. He also did the thing for the Olympics, and he also was official portrait guy for one of the presidents. Don't ask me who. Later than Lyndon Johnson, and also was the official portrait guy for the Kennedy family. So and he played football for the San Diego Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs. So he was a great guy. Unfortunately, he just died a couple of years ago, and he's a great guy. But the only thing I hated about Ernie, I'd say, "Hey, Ernie," I see him walking in and said, "Let me get one of those lithographs, man." I said, "Can't do it, brother." I go, "Ernie, I hold your stuff up every week on the show." He said, "Man, you know, this stuff costs a lot of money. I can't give you nothing, man." And never gave me a lithograph. What's up with that, Ernie? Yeah, man. Yes, sir. This is a true story. I did a lot of Dean Martin comedy roasts. Greg Garrison was the producer of the Dean Martin comedy roast. Greg Garrison, great guy, but a racist, and a fun racist, if you can imagine. He's a fun racist, a great guy, a homophobe, a sexist guy, everything. And he directed some of this early television where they did Marlon Brando Live and all this stuff like that. They did the Alcoa Theater and all this stuff. He did that. He was the youngest director of all times on TV who did live theater, okay? And Greg Garrison, the first show I ever did for him was Laugh-In.
Wow.
I was on the last year of Laugh-In, where I fell into that because I had done a show that some of you, not all of you, remember, but my first TV show that I ever did, besides, of course, Joe Franklin, but but besides that, the first real TV show I did was the Jack Park Show. And the reason I got that show was because I was at the Improv, and all my friends, David Brenner, Richard Lewis, Bette Midler, Woody Allen, Liza Minnelli, Pat Benatar, Melissa Manchester, Al Jarreau, all these guys were all doing the shows. And at that time we had the Jack Park Show, the David Frost Show, the Dick Cavett Show, the Merv Griffin Show, the Johnny Carson Show, and the Mike Douglas Show right in this whole area. Mike Douglas obviously in Philadelphia. I couldn't get on any shows, none. And I thought I was somewhat humorous. But anyway, they used to come to the club, all the talent coordinators for the shows. Tom O'Malley for the Jack Parr Show. Tom, can I be on the show? He said, absolutely not. You're not funny, you're not good, I don't enjoy you. So I figured that was a sign that maybe I wasn't going to get on the show. So I was talking to Bet and my friend Steve Landisberg, who the book is dedicated to, who did Barney Miller play Dietrich, one of my dearest friends. I love him dearly. Steve, I love you to death. And Steve and Brent, I was talking to them at the Camelot down on 44th and 9th, and they said, you should be on. So the next time Tom O'Malley came in, Brenner, Bet, and Steve went to Tom O'Malley and said, hey, how about Jimmie Walker for the Jack Parr show? He said, he stinks. He asked me to be on the show. I never liked him. They said, you know what? If he's not on the show, we're not on the show. We will not do it again. From that standpoint, he sent me to Hal Gurney, who is the director of the show, the Jack Parr show. Hal Gurney went on to direct the David Letterman show. Hal Gurney says he's sitting in a room like this by himself. He has a stage delicatessen sandwich, a celery Dr. Brown soda. He's sitting there and he says, you know, a lot of people tell me you're funny and kind of a pain in the ass. Look, if you're funny, let's see it, man. Let's see what you can do. I said, okay, we'll go downstage, you have some audience, and we'll do some stuff. He says, no. Do it right here, I know it's funny. So he's eating a sandwich, a pastrami on rye, thick, like a pound of pastrami. And I start into my thing. I'm eating, and he's got like sauce dripping on the mustard coming off, some gouldens or something coming off. And after like 2 minutes, he looks at me and says, okay, you're good enough, you can be on the show. I said, oh, okay. He says, can you be back at 5:30? He says, yeah. And I had like my sweats on. He says, dress better than that, will you? Come back. And I went down and I did the show, and I was lucky enough to get a lot of big laughs. Rowan and Martin saw me. They called me at the Improv and said, hi, we're Rowan and Martin. I went, yeah, right. And I'm Sidney Poitier. They said, no, we're Rowan and Martin. We saw your shot on the Jack Parr show, and we would like for you to do the show. We've just been canceled, but they owe us 12 more. Would you like to be on the shows? I said, yeah. They said, okay, we'll send you a ticket. And they flew me out. And I did the show, and Dan Rowan, for some ungodly reason, was a huge fan. And he loved me. So I get to do the show, I'm getting on the show, and Greg Garrison is the director, and he's a crazy guy. He has on a Crocodile Dundee hat with a Crocodile Dundee shirt and with those boots all hooked up and tied up over here. And he says, I said, hi, sir, I'm the comedian that's supposed to be on the show. He says, oh yeah, Dan told me about that. Oh my goodness, man, we don't need no comedian. I got a show to direct here. He said, what have you done? I said, oh, I did the Jack Parr show. He said, that's it? I go, well yeah, it did that. He says, Dan's always bringing me some nonsense, man. So he says, okay, we got to shoot this because Dan says we got to shoot it. Let's get the secretaries out of the office and bring them in here. I want them to sit here right in this spot, like 12 people, and laugh for this guy because I don't even know who he is. He's supposed to be funny. God, I'm gonna get that Dan when I see him. He walks off like, come on, man, let's just shoot this right now. So I get up and I do my thing, and he says, hey, you're okay. And there was only like 12 people in the crowd. So from then on, I started working with Greg Garrison on different shows. I worked with him on Playboy After Dark and a couple other shows. And then we did the Dean Martin show. And the Dean Martin show, he never thought I was funny enough. He always thought, and he said, you know what? I can't use you on the show actually, man, because you're not funny enough to be on this show. But he says, the network says I have to have you on the show. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit you down here and I'm going to shoot some shots of you laughing. Because you got a good laugh, a funny face, a lot of white teeth. All right, we'll shoot you. And he would go, sit there and we laugh and go, all right, give me a big laugh. And then I would do all those laughs. And he'd say, okay, we don't need you for the show. Get out. We'll use you some other time. Then I'd watch the show, right? And somebody would do a joke. And there would be a smash cut to me go, wow! And I go, I didn't laugh at that. And I was thinking, what do people think? And I never laughed at that. So he used me that way. So I love Greg Garrison. He's great. Racist. He hated black people. Hated the whole doggone thing. But he was honest. And he made a lot of money. He always said, I don't need this, man. I'm rich. That's what he would always say. All right, I'm going to get a couple of last questions because they throw me out. Yes, ma'am. No, because I don't know why John Amos, whatever he did. I don't pay attention to stuff like that because, again, I don't know what John Amos was doing. He was doing whatever he was doing. I can't worry about it. Save yourself. Yes, ma'am.
I'm interested to know, what did you do for Black Panther?
I worked for the Black Panthers because they would have a lot of benefits, okay? That's a big word. That means that you didn't get paid. And they would have a lot of benefits, and a lot of authors that are in this place now, this is Sonia Sanchez, Nikki Giovanni, all have books in here. Nikki Giovanni teaches at Virginia Tech, and who? Does she teach there now? She teaches at Manhattanville College. She used to be at Virginia Tech. I know about that. Where does Sonia Sanchez teach?
She's a woman in black, yeah.
I thought she taught in Chicago somewhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were doing poetry and stuff like that. And I would be there as the comic relief to do shows. And I would always think this. The Black Panthers had William Kunstler was their representative, a big-time civil rights lawyer, William Kunstler. And he would be there with a beret on and everything, and somebody like a Stokely Carmichael or a Rap Brown would be up there, and they'd be there. And the white man is doing this to our brothers and sisters. And people would stand up and applaud, yeah. And then you see William Kunstler say, yeah, get Whitey! And I always thought this because the Black Panthers, they always had their machine guns and stuff with them. And when these guys are standing, they'll be there with their machine guns and stuff and their berets. And I always think while I'm doing my thing that somebody could say, this guy's not funny. Right. So it would be that kind of thing. So that's what I work a lot of shows with the Black Panthers. And I work with everybody in the Black Panthers from Elaine Brown to David, his name was right out of my mind, but his first name was David, Rap Brown, Stokely Carmichael, who I still believe was one of the brightest guys I ever met. And I don't want to say he went the wrong way, but he could have done much more than commercial. To me, Stokely Carmichael was as bright as Barack Obama. Very smart guy. I mean, very hip cat. All right, I'm going to go sign some books. I'm going to get out of here right now. You guys have been great. It's been fantastic. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Thank you for even taking time out. Even the guy who didn't want to buy the book, that's okay. Thank you for coming to the thing. I'm going over here.